Hello guys, welcome back to All About Software. In this video, today we are going to see group functions. We are going to start with the basics and we are going to start adding some complex logic at the end, so enjoy the video. We're going to start with two group functions, average and sum. This function can receive just numeric parameters, so if you pass any other data type you will raise an error. We are going to start with the basics, so we're going to start with employees table, and we are going to select last name. First of all, we are going to try to apply a function group, a numeric function group right here, so this should raise an error, invalid number. We are going to apply to salary right here. Okay, so here we have the sum. We are going to apply average over salary. Here we have the average and the sum of the salary. Okay. Now I'm going to apply this over another column. Just let me erase this. These group functions cannot handle null values, so if they find a null value they just ignore them. So as we can remember, in past videos we have commission percentage contains a lot of null values, so we need let me change for average. Okay, let me handle the null values. I will use MBL from our last videos. Here we have the difference between handling null values or ignoring them. Let me change for sum and then sum. Okay, in this case the result is the same because for all the null values you are changing them by by 0, so if you add 0 the result doesn't increment anything, so the result is the same. Okay, now let's use two other functions, min and max. These two group functions can receive any data type as parameters, so you won't have any problem, you won't raise any error if you provide date or if you provide text. So we're going to see the difference. Select min from last name from employees. You got the min of last name. We're going to select the max of last name, slot key. So you have the min and you have the max. If we use a number value, you got the minimum salary and the maximum salary. If we use a date, her date, you got the minimum hire date and the maximum hire date. Okay, in this case, these two functions have the same problem with null values, but since we is getting the minimum value or the maximum value, it doesn't matter if you provide a null value. It doesn't matter if we handle the null values because this is always going to get the maximum value. The last function that we need to have in mind for this video is count. We're going to select, we're going to count. You can provide any data type, hire date from employees table. 107 rows. We don't have any problem with that. I will provide last name. That is a chart column. We have the same result. I will provide a number value. And we have, well, in this case we have a different result because we are not handling null values. We needed to handle that null values. I'm going to use MBL again. Department ID. Handling null values. Okay, so you can see the difference right here, because in this table we have 107 rows we don't have 106 rows. We have one of these rows contains a null value right here, so we need to take care of that null value. And also we can provide another parameter in this function. So we are going to use distinct. We are going to count the distinct values. Here we have 11 departments, and here we have 12. We have 11 departments and one other department that is null. We can use this parameter in each of our group functions. For example, I will use distinct. I will change this with salary. But again, it doesn't matter that I apply the distinct parameter in these two functions, min and max, because they are just getting the max values and the minimum values, so I will have the same result. So for min and max, you don't need to provide the distinct and you don't need to handle null values. And I will zoom distinct salary. Okay, right here we are going to see a difference because this function is just getting all the distinct values, all the repeating values. The function is ignoring them. Okay, so at this point we have seen the 5 group functions, and we have seen that we can provide some parameters, and we need to handle null values with group functions. So it's time to go to the next level. It's time to see group by. Well, it's time to create groups of data. For example, we are going to select department ID, and now I'm going to get the sum of the salary from employees table, but I want that the sum of the salary is just for the specific department ID, so I want each department ID to have their own sum. You need to add row up by department ID. Now let's add the order clause, order by department ID. Okay, here we have this is the sum of the salary of all the employees that works in department 10, the sum of the salary of all the employees that works in department 20. Now I'm going to add an average of the salary. So if the average is the same as the sum of the salary, it means that there is only one worker, one employee in this department. I'm also going to select, I'm going to apply all the 5 functions. I will select the mean. I can do it by the parameter, the salary, and the max salary in each department, salary, and the count salary as total employees in this department. Okay, for department 10 we have the sum, we have the average, the minimum salary, maximum is the same, and we have the total employees that is just 1. In this case we have 2 employees, max salary, minimum salary, we have the average, and we have the sum. For example, for department 15 we have 50, sorry, I'm just messing with the numbers. We have 45 employees, we have the max salary, minimum salary, and this is the average salary. Okay. We are going to see this group by, but with more than one column. For example, we want to add another okay, for this result we have 12 records because we are separating the data by the department ID. So now we're going to generate some smaller groups, and we are going to do that by separating by the job ID. If we run this statement, we are going to raise an error because we need to add this column to the group by job ID. Okay, as you can see, now we have 20 records. Some of the departments contains 2 different kind of employees, so now we are separating the employees not just by the department but also by the job ID. You can see right here the information has changed. So for department 50 we have 3 jobs, we have 20 employees for the first job, 20 employees for the second, and 5 employees for the third job. we also have the max salary of these 5 employees, the minimum salary, and the average just for these 5 employees. And for all the records, it's gonna be the same. So with this, we are just getting smaller groups. Okay, now we have learned the basics with the group functions. We are going to see some illegal queries. Okay, we're going to do a basic statement. Department ID. I just want to add the sum of the salary. Salary from employees. Okay, here we are getting an error because this is not a single group function. So any expression or column that is not an aggregate function must be in the group by clause, like in this case. So we are solving this error by adding the columns or the expressions that are not group functions. We need to add them right here. So now it works perfectly. Okay, I will return the function. Okay, here is our first illegal function. Okay, we are going to write another illegal query. For example, I want to restrict my group. For example, department ID. Now I want the average of the salary from employees group by department ID. Okay, let me order this by here we have. I will copy this value and I want to filter my results, so I want just the departments and the average salary of all those departments that has the average salary is greater than this value. Okay, now we are going to try to apply that condition. Where average salary is greater than this value. Okay, group function it's not allowed here. Okay, that's because We cannot use where to restrict our groups, and we cannot use these group functions inside our if we remove the group function, the statement is going to work perfectly. We need to use the having clause. So now it's the time to see how we can restrict our groups. I'm going to select job ID, and I'm going to sum salary, and I'm going to print the average of the salary from employees. We need to group by this column, and we need to order by, I want to order by the sum salary. Okay, at this point we're good. Okay, I'm gonna restrict my result with the having clause. I just want to show all the jobs that the sum of the salary is lower than 10,000. Okay, here we have the result. All of those jobs that the sum of the salary is greater than 10,000 or that the sum of the salary is equals to 10,000. We just have one. Okay. Okay, now is the turn of the where clause. We're going to select department ID. We're going to get the max salary and the mean salary. From employees, we need to group by department ID. We need to order by department ID. Okay. Okay, we're going to say that we want all the just to display the results where we have job ID that contains a letter, like okay, here we have a difference 10, 20, 30. We are missing the department 40, 60 and 70, so we are just getting 9 records as a result. Now let's change this for trap. Okay, if we want to show the job ID, remember that we need to send this to the group function, because job ID is not an aggregate function, and remember that in the select all the columns or expression that doesn't contain any aggregate function needs to be in the group by clause. Okay, so all of these 5 jobs contains this, so that's the reason that we are just displaying these 5 records. Now is the turn to use where clause with having clause. We're going to select department ID. We want to select job ID. Okay, at this point I'm just going to use department ID and then average salary, then sum salary from employees group by department ID. Department ID. Okay, we're going to add our job ID, contains a letter B, and all of those departments that the sum of the salary is greater than 10,000. Okay, our where is in the ground place right here. Okay, we're going to try with C. again I'm going to show the job ID, and I need to add this to the group by clause. So we have the letter C, count, and AC manager, and the sum of the salary is greater than 10,000. So if we comment the having, we have another record right here, and just with the grep we just have one job that contains this, and the sum of the salary is greater than 10,000. So that's the way that we need to use the where and the having clause in the same statement. Remember, we cannot use group functions right here with the where. That's why we have the having function. We are going to use nested functions. Okay, I'm going to select average salary from employees table. Okay, here we have the average. Let me add the group by clause. Order by average salary this. Okay, we have 12 records, so I'm going to use another group function to nest the average. For example, I'm going to use the max salary, so I will just get this first row because this is the maximum average, and I'm going to print also the minimum average. We can change this by the count. We're going to get a 12 right here, and this is how the nesting group function works. I think we have seen all the interesting things in talking about group functions. Now is the time to put that on practice, so let's get ready. The first practice is that we need to use all the group functions, but we need to apply all the group functions directly to the employees department. Okay, our first practice is that we need to use all the 5 functions functions without the group by clause. Okay, so we are going to apply the first count. Need to apply to the employees table. We are going to count the salary. We are going to apply mean salary, max salary. We are going to apply some salary. We are going to apply the average path. We are going to use another column. So here we have the result. We applied the find group functions without the group by clause. Okay. Now, the second practice is that we need to display the same result, but in this time we are going to separate this group by the job ID. So use the find group functions, but group by the job ID. Okay, we're going to select count salary, mean salary, max salary, some salary, and the average commission percentage from employees, and now we need to group by job ID. Order by job. Job ID. So here we have our result. In this case we are not displaying the job ID column, so we can add this. Since the job ID column is in the group by clause, we are not going to have any problem if we show that column in the select. So here we have our result. Our third practice, we need to display the number of people with the same job. Okay, I will give you some time to think how we are going to solve this problem. It's time to put pause to the video and try to solve this. We're going to select since we need to display the number of people with the same job. First of all, we need the employees table, and we need to group by the job ID column. Okay, job ID, I'm just going to display job ID, and we are going to count last name. Just let me add the order by clause, job ID, as the total of people. So here we have in these 4 jobs, in these jobs they just have 1 people. We have 5 people for this job. We have 5 people for IT Pro. We have 30 and 20 and 20 and 5 for this job. So the next practice is gonna be to display the number of different managers. I want you to display all the number of the managers that exist in the employees table. So it's time to put the video on pause, and we will see in some minutes. Let's see the solution for this problem. From employees, and we just have the count of the manager ID, but since we don't have 106 managers, because some of them are the same manager, we need to apply this thing right here. So we have the total managers. Okay, total managers, we have 18 managers, different managers. Okay, so it's time to put a little bit complex in the problem. So for the next practice, I want you to display a matrix that shows the jobs with their salary. For example, job 1, 20. job 2, 20, job 3, and you need to name the columns as the department job 4 and job 5. Okay, this is the matrix that we are going to try to accomplish. We need to separate by jobs, but we need to draw the matrix, and the columns must be the name of the department. Remember that the jobs live inside the department, so 2 or 3 jobs can be part of the department 10 or can be part of the department 20. So in this time I will give you some minutes. It's time to put pause to the video. It's time to see the solution. First of all, if you did your solution, remember that one problem can have any number of solutions. There is no just one right solution. You can solve a problem with different solutions. So if you did a good job, you can post your solution in the comments. So we are going to see one of the solutions to this problem. Since I want to print this column as the job, we need to use the job ID column. Since we are not applying any of the aggregate functions or the group functions to this column, remember that we need to add that column to the group by clause. So we are going to group by job ID. Okay, we are going to add the sum as department 10. Remember that we have 11 departments. Okay, so I just want to display all the sum of the salary of all the jobs that are inside of the department 10. So we are going to use in this case the decode function. Decode. We are going to compare the department ID. We are going to compare with the number 10. So with this we are going to make sure that just all of the departments that are the first department, we're going to show that information. We are going to show the salary. So we're going to do the same with department ID, but now is the turn of the second department, and we're going to show this department as 20. Okay, let me add this and let's give it a try to this statement. So we are getting to the result. We're almost there. Let me copy this. Sorry, I'm missing I have a comma 40. Okay, we are getting the result. So, but I don't like these null values. So we need to handle null values. So that's why we are going to use an MBL function, but since we are returning right here, we are returning a number, and we need to replace this with a blank space that is a chart. We need to use some functions that at this point we have been learning all those functions in the last videos. So the first thing is that I need to convert this number to a char. So I'm going to use to char. So here we have the same result, but at this point this column is a chart and this column is a number. Now is the turn to the MBL function. And I'm going to say that when it is null, I will print a blank space. So here we have. Time to apply this to the next columns. To chart, we close the to chart function. We are going to apply MBL. We open the MBL function, grab the comma and the blank space, and we close MBL function. Okay, so at this point we're going to copy this, we're going to paste right here, we're going to paste right here, and we're going to copy from MBL and to chart, and we're going to paste that right here. Okay, so just let me copy this column. Okay, I think now we're good. Just let me rename to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. Let me comment this. 110. Okay, I'm missing the name. Okay, I will run this. As you can see, we have the matrix, we have all the jobs, and we have this matrix separated by the departments. Just let me order by job ID. Okay. I think we are good. Missing a comma right here. Okay, we are missing one because remember that one of these employees doesn't belongs to any of the departments, so we were missing one, and here we have. Very useful this matrix, so and it looks pretty. It's a pretty way to show the data. So I'm going to add some other complex right here, and this is our final practice. So for this practice we are going to display just 3 columns. In this case it's gonna be the department name, I'm going to show the average of the average salary in the department and the name of the country. So we are going to show these 3 columns: department name, average salary of the department, and the name of the country of this department. Country of the department. But in this case we are going to have some conditions. The first condition is that we need to show just the departments in United States, and you just need to display the departments with an average salary that is greater than 5,000. Okay, it's time to put pause to the video. We will see in some minutes. So remember, if you solve this problem, leave your solution in the comments so that we can see, that we all can see your solution. It may be different, but you can get the same result. And now it's time to solve this. Since we have department name, we are talking about that we need to get information from a different table. In employees table, we just have the department ID, we have the average salary, we have the salary column in the employees table, and since we have to get the name of the country, we need to go to the countries table. So we're going to get first of all the columns. Select the department name, then we need to get the salary from employees. At this point, I'm not going to apply the group function. I'm just going to join the tables first of all, and then we need to go to the countries table as country name. I think that's the name of the column. Just let me see. From departments, employees, emp, departments table as tip, locations table as loc, and then country table as co. Remember to join departments to countries. We need to go to location, and then with the foreign key we need to go to countries. So we're going to join the tables, and we need to join by department ID with department ID. We need to add another condition. We need to add the department location ID. We need to add with location ID. Okay. Look. Then we need to add the look country ID. It's equals to country ID. At this point, I'm going to run the statement just to check if my join is correct. And it is correct. We have 106 records. Now it's time to group the information by the departments, and then we need to limit the group. So it's time to group by. We need to group by this column, and it's time to apply the group function. If not, we are going to get another illegal. Let me run. We are going to get an illegal query. It's time to put the average salary. At this point, it continues being an illegal query, because remember that all of the expressions or columns that are in the select needs to be part of the group by clause. So at this point it is correct. Okay, so now we just have the 11 departments. Now it's time to restrict the group. We already have a where clause, so we're going to use this. We're going to add another condition. You can copy the country name, and you can say that you just need to display all the countries, all the departments in United States, that we just have 7, and we are missing a condition that is this one: departments with an average salary greater than 5,000. So we are going to add the having, missing a letter. Okay, now we're good. Which average of the salary is greater than 5,000. Okay, now we're good. And we just have these 3 departments: executive, IT, finance, and accounting, and these are with the average salary greater than 5,000, and these departments are in United States. So we can add it was not a part of the practice, but we can round just to see a better result. We run the average, it looks prettier. So at this point we have seen a group functions, the group functions with some complex. We join 4 tables and we display a matrix. So I think at this point we have a good understanding of the group functions. So it's all for this video. If you like the video, leave your comment, leave your solutions. Don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video. We will see in the next video.